It even has buttons where it buttons up to the side.
Yeah, look, it has little snaps, so you can put the flaps up if you want to.
Flaps up, flaps down.
Right.
Flaps up, flaps down.
I was so excited. I just kept wearing it through all the thrift shop, all the stores. I walked through all the stores with it on after I bought it.
Flaps up, flaps down.
And it was worth a lot of smiles, for sure.
People thought I thought you were one of those rich cowgirls
Those crazy cowgirls, valley cowgirls, valley girl.
from Los Angeles.
Yeah, valley girl.
Greetings and salutations to all you divine entities. Welcome to Livestream. It's so wonderful to be back again, kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm back again. The, of course, mystery, the magic of the star tetrahedron, the divine marriage of the masculine, the feminine, which creates something more than masculine and feminine. It creates then literally a light infused being, a divine being. And from that state of consciousness, it's the old scam coming in from Texas. They want me to sell my house. And the divine mystical marriage of the masculine and feminine, as it creates then the divine human, one that is able to simply focus light, imagine, and create. And so, as we have talked about in the future, there'll be no food shortages, no resource shortages. We will simply be creator beings. At the same time, we would be living on more light-infused food. So the heavy foods would begin to fall away. Nothing wrong with them right now, mind you. But in the future, the physical form will be so light imbued that just like the plants right now, they simply take in light and they turn it into chlorophyll, and then it then is their life. The same with a tree. And so we as humans will be moving more towards literally living off of light. Even now, you see, when we eat our food, the plant takes in the light of the sun, which is a Christ field. It turns it into sugars and nutrients that we then take into our body. And we, of course, at the physical level, it releases those sugars, those proteins for the physical form. But really, what gives life, what's really behind all the physicality is light. And so, what happens is all of those nutrients then release photons of light. And then the photons of light are really the carriers of the energetic wave that lives beneath the physical form. And so that's more of what I see when I see the aura. It's really that energetic wave that is beneath the form, that is then color, sound, light, and that will become ever more, if you will, radiant and able to really be observed and seen around most people in the future. Maybe not tomorrow, but soon thereafter. So quite an amazing thing. It also brings us to our theme that self-love is enlightenment. Well, what does that mean? We are here to learn one thing, and that is what is the vibration of source. And that vibration is love. The source in the beginning of creation simply began to gift source energy, just exuding it out into the universe for creation. And it was love, it is love. We as human beings were given free will, mind you. We might say it was Eve eating of the apple of knowledge. Knowledge then gave us free will so that we weren't simply always doing that which source God wanted us to do. We could begin to make choices. And by making choices of free will, we could then become our own, if you will, gods, our own creators. Really not necessarily doing everything that just the creator being wanted, but what we then were bringing to the table, so to speak. And so we began to gather knowledge. With that knowledge, sometimes the ego then began to be involved, and it became more of wanting and needing, desiring to fulfill oneself, because one didn't really feel connected to source anymore. One had stepped out of love vibration that was the universe. So there's no longer this feeling of self-love inside, you see. And so the key is then to come back to that place of so loving oneself that when you truly love yourself, you need no thing. You're not looking for money. You're not looking for a relationship. You're not looking for validation. And at the same time, because your vibration is love, you're literally feeling the breath of everything breathing with you in and through you. And so there's no feeling of separation. It's all you. It come down to, I was kidding with someone the other day, and I was saying, as you begin to reach this state of consciousness, everything is me. So that's one of the highest statements you could say. The tree, that's me. The person, that's me. The cloud, that's me. It's all me because there's only one me, and that's source. And it's just through, again, knowledge, we begin to step out of, if you will, source relationship, true love, and we became small me rather than the big me that is source oneness. Now, a beautiful way, you see, that source then also gave us to recompense, to let go of that separation, and that's what we call karma. And so, whenever in some past incarnation we have been more focused upon what I need or what I want, and maybe it was by harming another, maybe it was by making someone feel powerless, making it was by taking away their things, robbing, whatever it is. And so we then created a karmic debt, if you will. We weren't living in love, we were leading in manipulation, control. And so the way that Source gave us the opportunity to recompense that is through reincarnation. If it was just that one lifetime where we did it, well, then we would be doomed evermore until the end of the universe. Then God would simply welcome us all back. But we were given then reincarnation where we could then come back in an incarnation and we could learn the lessons of what we didn't love. Now, everything that we have done in all of our past incarnations is always brought back into the now. I was working with a client the other day, and she was saying that I did a past life retrieval, and there was quite a lifting of letting go within me, a feeling of release. And I said, that is absolutely marvelous because, in fact, you can forgive a past life by looking at it and knowing that, well, that's what I did wrong. But this is the real important part about all of that. Even though you, as the ego, the personality, has forgiven it, that which experienced it in this lifetime is that feeling child within you. So that's where all of your karma comes back to, that feeling child within you. And so this particular individual then, as a young child, was born into a family where the father was somewhat difficult, to say the least, overshadowing, overpowering, negating this feeling sensitive little girl. And so from the feminine, she felt fine and lovely, but then the masculine denying her and belittling her, she then felt powerless. That something is wrong with me. I don't have the power to really live my joy because it's not validated. Father took it away. The masculine. Well, this was simply that reincarnation from the past that she had, again, from soul level, let go of, you see, by doing a soul retrieval. But the child within was still feeling that sense of lack of self love within. She hadn't yet returned back within and loved that child in the now. So, this is the other important part of that scenario. We think that the past happened back then, but we know in metaphysics there's only the eternal now. The past, the present, the future are simply one gestalt of energy that we agree to look at like films in a canister, frame by frame. And so we did the past, we're now doing this moment of the now, but in fact, we're just looking at it frame by frame. And from the soul, it just happened. And so, in fact, that little girl within her is still back there at that 2, 3-year-old time frame, still being belittled, still being denied, still not being loved. And so she, through the level of her soul who created that moment, has to then go inside and find that childlike part, feel the powerlessness. And what did the powerlessness create? It created a feeling of anger, a feeling of frustration. And so she also, in this incarnation, had chosen a relationship, a husband who was, really negating her, creating her to feel powerless. She finally, of course, got out of the relationship, but it was the same thing as her father that she met in her husband. And that happened because she had not yet cleaned up the past by simply loving the child within. And so we then learned that is to go through the emotion that that child felt. Her personality had done a soul retrieval and forgiven it, but the child was still holding on to emotion in the body, which was frustration and anger. And so that was still vibrating up within her, vibrating out into the world, and still creating frustrating things that made her angry. And she said, well, I'll just handle it. But in fact, it happened again and again and again. And the reason being because self-love is about loving that childlike part of you that is the embodiment of all of your karma, both good and bad. But karma really isn't bad. It's simply lessons that we haven't learned about self-love. Her mother gave her the feeling of creativity and joy and feminine beauty and grace, but then that was her good karma. But you see, that which was the karma that she was working on. Again, we're not going to call it bad karma. It's just information that one needs to find and then refine to become, I so love myself, I feel empowered to love that which is the feminine within me. I don't need a man to validate me. I don't need the world to validate me. I so powerfully love myself, I am free. And in that freedom, one begins to literally create a vibration within them that is the very vibration of source oneness, which is God, source, whatever you would call it. Because one is then vibrating at that level, loving relationship automatically begins to be attracted in, prosperity begins to flow wonderfully. And it's because one feels that I'm not needing that or wanting it. It simply is my joy to dance with it, because being that which I am, the great me that I am, that is the me of everything out there, I'm having joy in this me of relationship, this me of prosperity. And why am I enjoying that? Because I so love myself and this childlike part of me, and I have found all the emotion and all those old feelings of separation within that still keep creating the little things in my life that bother me or I dislike, that I might judge or that I might criticize. And now I've now found all of them. I've returned back in and found that childlike part of me. Through bringing the divine and sacred soul, this golden liquid light down in and through, I have moved into the emotion and I have tasted it and I have felt it. And that is the key. Because we, in some incarnation, created someone to be powerless, even though we do the soul retrieval and we let it go, we yet haven't learned to feel, well, what did that feel like? That's the childlike gift. The child felt powerless. The child felt angry. And so as we then, as the soul, return back in and feel those emotions, we don't put them on. We don't need to have a catharsis of them, but we taste them, we feel them. We know deep in our cellular being, what does anger feel like and what's angry? Something that wasn't loved. And as the soul then is moving through those emotions and loves the child, it automatically lets go of the frustration and anger because it has what it wants. And what does the childlike part of you want? It wants that which created it. And what created it? The divine and sacred being you are that took a piece of itself, dropped it down into time space. Mother and father created then all the karmic circumstances to grow and unfold and learn to love yourself from. And as you then accomplish that, the soul is then fully embodied within. That's enlightenment. I no longer need, I no longer desire. I am light infused. I feel the breath of source moving within me, within the trees, within the wind, within all creation. I no longer ever feel lonely or separate or any emotion of depression or sadness because I'm breathing with Source. I'm breathing with God literally. And if that is then what is taking place within you, fulfillment is there, enlightenment, freedom. I am now free. And because you have then created that, you also then have been releasing from your physical form the old cellular memories that create toxins. That's what creates disease within the body. It creates the bones to be sore. It creates the knee to be off. It creates then, the elbow doesn't work right. It creates, maybe I have a lung problem because I have grief in my lungs, whatever it is, you see. And so it's really quite simple, this enlightenment business. As we know, it's very simple, but it's the most difficult thing there is because our world keeps taking us back to, well, the mind. What happened to me? What should I do about it? What can I find out there to fulfill me and let go of this angst I feel? Never works. It's always about love. And loving the self is enlightenment. Simple, but not necessarily easy. The key, though, is also enlightenment is meditation. Because when you're meditating, the mind of the ego is silent. You're creating a relationship with the divine and sacred soul, and you are feeling it moving within and through you. Feeling it. And it's that feeling of profound source energy that is the soul, which is God, that is your individual ocean, that is just flowing within. That love then embraces the child, feels the emotion. You now know that because I've now felt anger and frustration and powerlessness, I would never do that again in the world. And so one then simply is, once again, the basis of love. So easy and so wonderful. So the childlike within is the key, my friends. So one of the things that, of course, helps us in our work is the breath. The reason that's so important, because we know when we have formulated the star tetrahedron, it opens that sacred doorway within the very middle, which is in the area of the heart. It is called the jewel in the lotus. And it is very important because as these star tetrahedrons are turning and the vortex opens, it literally opens back into the void. I was recently watching a video again that I saw many years ago called Thrive, and it talks about how they have found in the very center of every atom is a black hole. Well, it's that vortex back into the void. And every atom has an energetic connection to another one over here, which creates one up here, which creates one over here. So that would then be the geometry of the star tetrahedron. The geometry is created by the lines of force that are created by those atoms being attached to each other. And then it creates an even larger one, which is in a human being, a larger one, which is around Earth, a larger one, which is then around the physical sun. And so everything is simply a Christed entity with an open doorway that if we love ourselves, the doorway breathes through us. And then we're breathing source 24/7 into this dimension, just like the sun. Been doing it for almost 4 billion years now. Go for it. Another 3 to 5 billion years, they say. So we got lots of time to work out the karma. So the breath work, it's a very deep in-breathing, and we're really breathing, of course, oxygen in, but more importantly, we're breathing from the open doorway source out into this dimension. And as we then let go, we're watching with the mind. Again, we're creating. I'm seeing sparkling, effervescent life flowing from me. And once again, back to the breath and breathing, but opening source to the doorway, and then out breath, sparkling liquid light. So let's do about 5 minutes of deep belly breathing, my friends. We like to have the spine nice and erect. We can imagine there's a string at the top of the head, and it's always gently pulling us up. And with each breath, the body relaxes and lets go. Oxygen is life. The open doorway is spirit. I'm breathing spirit into this dimension, the ultimate love, through the heart. The mystical marriage of heart and source and breath. Between the in-breath and the out-breath, we like to hold for a couple of counts, noticing the silence. When we are truly observing the breath, mind cannot be thinking. And with the exhale, sparkling, effervescent, golden light through every cell and tissue, infusing light into the body and gifting it out into the world. I am the light. The Divine Master Jesus said, all that God is, I am. It is all me. And we breathe. Deep belly breathing, summoning source. The open doorway within the heart. Breathing in source. Breathing out golden sunlight and peace. I am the light. Spinal column, the rod of initiation, becomes golden, radiant, and glorious. And another deep belly breathing breath, summoning source. Golden liquid light all around. And slowly coming back into the now. Whenever throughout the day that we're feeling a little tension, a little angst, whatever it is, if we just take a few minutes and go to our breath work, deep belly breathing, summoning source from inside out, we're literally infusing everything and everyone around us with sunlight and peace. And so we find that quite easily things can settle down. We begin to feel relaxed, and the emotion then floats away. So I encourage you to use that opportunity. Shout out today to Hazel the Trigger on our website. When I first saw it, I thought it said Hazel the Tigger. And that is one of my favorite beings on the planet, Tigger. When Tigger and Pooh together, I think it's Pooh says to Tigger, "Happy Wednesday." So today's Wednesday. So happy Wednesday, Trigger. So the Star Tetran meditation is about, again, the breath work as well as seeing up above, the divine masculine triangulation. And it is rotating then clockwise left to right. The lower triangulation of divine feminine love is moving right to left. And in this counter rotation, that's what opens the sacred doorway in the middle. It's just like a motor. A motor has a positive and then it has a negative coil around it. And it's then the spinning within from those two forces of energy that then create the motor to have life and movement. And so it's the same with the star tetrahedron, but this then opens the doorway to source. And then we stand within the middle, within the energy of source, the void, and from inside out, we're then breathing creation into this dimension. So I'm going to take you through the formulation of the star tetrahedron, and I will join with you, and we will create light activation for all. So let's close the eyes and feel the body relaxing. Being aware of the breath, and with each breath, body relaxing or letting go. Any tension in the body is melting away. Then we bring our attention between the eyebrows, imagining we could draw a line straight back. And within the approximate center point of the head, we ignite the light of the soul. Imagination is the key. What I imagine becomes real. Imagining the light within the center point of the mind brain. And holding attention here, we feel the light increasing, the light of the soul, sacred and divine, perfection, that we focus down to the heart chakra at the sternum, and we illuminate the star tetrahedron to image, see, and feel imagination. Over time, it becomes real as we continue to imagine. The upper triangulation of divine power is moving left to right. the lower triangulation of divine love, right to left. The sacred movement opens a vortex within the middle, within the very center of the heart, the jewel in the lotus. It opens into source oneness, the void, where all creation exists and is flowering forth into visual creation. With my in-breath, I summon source from the open doorway. With the gentle out-breath, it touches the facets of the spinning star to become scintillating and golden light. Just like the physical sun, I am the light. That light shines out into the world, and together we begin to create peace on earth. I am the light. I will join with you, and we will gather all together in the living light. And welcome back from near and far. It's wonderful to practice your meditation that brings the light of the soul into relationship, calms the mind, and reformats the body to be light imbued. So I encourage you to stay with your meditation practice. And if I can assist you in any way with your spiritual life, please let me know, my friends. Great blessings upon you, and see you soon.